Hey guys, Chris from Nichols Retirement Empire doing another educational blog about why teachers quit. And this is a subject that everybody might be interested in, whether you're a teacher or not. This one is about entitlement and how that entitlement causes a lot of teachers to decide that the job is not for them. The particular entitlement that I'm talking about is free and appropriate public education. Every child in the United States is entitled to a free and appropriate public education, and we have mandatory attendance laws also. So let me give you an example that I think every one of you will understand. It's a very simple example that will kind of get you into the school environment, so that you know what teachers and students deal with on a daily basis. Let's say that you have a job, and at your job the law says that anybody that works there cannot be fired. There is no way they can be fired, no matter what they do, no matter how late they come in, no matter if they don't do any work, no matter if they cuss at the boss, no matter if they do, there is nothing they can do to be fired. The only way that they are not going to be at work is if they are in jail. Let's say, well, you need some kind of, something to help keep the people under control, at your job, because they just won't do anything. If they literally cannot get fired, what are they going to, so let's say that you can, suspend them out of work without pay for, 20 days a year. Or you can reduce their pay if they're not being productive. And let's say you can reduce their pay by about 30%. So that's the only recourse that a company owner has against a employee, and that's it. Now, a lot of people would probably still do their job because that's just the way they are. They want to do the right thing. But now, you would have some people, it would be just crazy. They would not, first they wouldn't do any work, they'd hang out, they'd do, they'd bother you, they'd be acting all kind of crazy. You wouldn't be able to get anything done. It would be a terrible environment to try to work in and to try to get people, well, they wouldn't have to do, they wouldn't need to do what they were supposed to do because they get paid anyway. They might get a reduced pay, they might get sent home every once in a while, but you know what? It's probably okay with them. They'd rather be at home. Oh, and by the way, let's say they did do something really bad that got them put in jail. Let's say they went in there and they slapped the boss right in the face, and the boss called the police, had them charged with battery, and they got put in jail for 6 months or whatever. Guess what? You can't fire them. So when they get out of jail, they're coming back to work with you again, right back in the same place there, because you can't fire them. They have to be there. And not only do they have to be there, let's say that they have to be there by law. They make them come to your place of work, and you cannot, since you can't fire them and they have to be there, they cannot stay at home. So they're not in a good mood anyway, because they don't want to be where they're having to work, quote unquote. And they're in there causing trouble for everybody else. They're not productive. They're not doing their, just to think of that scenario is crazy. But that is the scenario that teachers and students across the United States deal with every single day. And it's not all, set up on purpose for it to be that way. The free and appropriate public education laws really are for situations where, let's say you have a student that is wheelchair bound, or a student that can't speak, or a student that, students like that, they want to make sure that the school systems put them into an educational setting where they are around their peers, and where they get the help that they need to be able to get an education. That's what free and appropriate public education is for. It's for those kinds of students. But then you also have students that are, pose a danger or pose a threat to other students by their behavior or by their actions. And I mean, they may be, they may have mental problems. They may have things that cause them to be violent and hit people and cuss at people, do all this. Those students, what has happened is those students are included in on the free and appropriate public education. And not only should they get a free and appropriate public education, but they should get it along with their peers. So they need to be in a school building with all these other students, even if they are not safe around those students. And they don't, they can't divulge that information to parents or anything like that. So you don't know who's in your child's school. Because it's none of your business. They're not going to tell you. They're not going to let you know. Because we have mandatory attendance laws, we make them come to school. We pick them up in buses and bring them there. We do not let them get suspended out of school over a certain amount of days. And that's not just for, special education students. That's for any student. Now they're getting to the point where they don't want anybody suspended out of school. Now there are a lot of alternatives now that there weren't in the past. You have homeschool alternatives, you have online learning and things like that. But the bottom line is the American Civil Liberties Union and the U.S. Department of Education and organizations like that feel that bottom line is all children need to be in a school, in a building, in a classroom with other students. That's why a lot of teachers hang it up. Because they are in a circumstance where they are working with students that are forced to be there. They cannot be significantly disciplined in any kind of way. The scenario where I was explaining to you where if an employee did do something that was violent or did do something that was illegal, if they brought drugs to work or, hit somebody or something like that, and they would end up in jail. Well, here's the thing. We're talking about children, so they're not going to end up in jail. So they're not going anywhere except right back into the school. That there are a lot of teachers that quit because of the entitlement of free and appropriate public education that we have in the United States. And we have it for a good reason. We have it because we want all students in the United States to have an opportunity to get an education, a fair opportunity. It shouldn't cost them anything. It ought to be an appropriate, a good education. So we have it for that reason, to protect, the rights of students. But on the other hand, it also is a huge, huge problem, because you have students, that are in schools that are problems because of their behavior, and problems because of some challenges that they pose to the other students and the teachers, and they have to stay there. So we'll leave that there. If you have any comments, questions, leave them below. Thank you for watching Nichols Retirement Empire. Retired 30-year teacher and administrator. You guys have a good day.